I have to confess I'm a little bit worried about how long this video is going to be and if my camera battery is going to survive. And apparently we have Milo with us just here to start the video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, La Fraise. I'm Noémie and today I'm going to show you everything I bought, and it's a lot for starting sewing school. So for those of you who don't know, I'm starting a 3-year degree as a costume maker. I'm 31 and I'm going back to school. It's a lot of emotions and a lot of shopping. I wanted to show you so this is my home sewing kit. And with everything I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to see how this compares with my home sewing kit. Basically, I showed this in another video, but this is a kit that you buy, it's 45 euros, you buy this and you basically have everything you need in it. So I'll compare every time my home sewing kit and my school sewing kit, and it's crazy because I have everything in front of me and it's like, for home, this, for school, it fills the entire room. You're in the way, back. Okay, I'm already very lost as how I'm going to organize this video. Okay, I've organized my thoughts. So the reason why I'm keeping my home kit and I have bought a lot of stuff for school is that we have requirements that are very specific for school. And as you might have seen if you've seen my announcement video, I was having a bit of a freak out about having to rebuy everything, and somehow in my head it makes more sense to keep my home kit even though I'm buying all those new extra stuff, because I don't want it to go to waste. I guess I could give it to someone, but I'm also emotionally attached to my home kit. And also I've already noticed that it's quite convenient to be able to leave this at home, and when I sew it's all there and I don't need to go and like in my school stuff. It's kind of easier. The only thing that has been traveling to school with me so far was my scissors, because I didn't buy my tailor's shears until today, and just that was a pain because I always had to like go back to get my scissors. So I hope it's going to be fine and going to make sense to have the two kits separately. If I notice that I always go in my school kits because the material is better in there, like I will let you know. I will let you know anything that's of interest, but that's already the explanation why I now have two kits. Basically, I got the list for school and nothing was good enough for school. I had to rebuy so many things. One note already, the first learning is that if you are starting sewing school, I would recommend buying as little as possible before you go. I got pretty stressed because we had that list that was very specific, but not enough, knowing that how specific it was going to get afterwards. We had a list that was what we absolutely needed to have for the first day of class. And so I was like, well, I'll buy those things and the rest of the list I'll buy later because you can get after the first day of class. And actually for the first day of class we did not need any of those things, or at least my home kit would have been definitely enough. And it's a bit annoying because some of the things I have bought I have already regretted because they're not the right one and the teacher wants something super specific. Some people have bought a lot more than me, and on the first day of class the teacher was like, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good, and it was a bit hard because they spent money on that. So I'm actually very, very happy I didn't buy too many things before the first day of class, and I kind of like went into it and decided to see first. However, we did have to buy a lot, and the list was one thing, but then on the first days of class every teacher would kind of give the extra stuff, and it seemed like the list would never end. Like literally the shopping list was endless. And also I will try to get out of the way the frustration with the list, because they actually gave us the list for the fashion design students and we have different needs. But yeah, all that to say, the list was quite a lot of stress, and I don't know, I think it's a bit silly. They said we needed the stuff for the first day of class and then it created a lot of purchases that were not ideal. Okay, I'll get the biggest things out of the way. Tracing paper. I did not buy tracing paper for school. This is actually the tracing paper I have for home. I have quite a few rolls because I got it on special, so I got a ton. And the way they want us to use tracing paper, they want us to have sheets that are 1 meter over 1 meter 50, so they recommend not rolls. But what I decided I would do is that I would pre-cut my roll into the sheets that we are meant to bring at school. This way I don't have to. I realized that this is not 1 meter long and that I can't do 1 meter on 1 meter 50 with this. whatever, this is 80 centimeters and it's going to have to be good enough, because I didn't want to buy sheets. If when I arrive with 80 centimeters over 150 it's the end of the world, then I guess I'll buy sheets, but so far I'm going to take the raw and cut it into sheets for school. Maybe the non-exciting thing, and yeah, I never thought this is something I would need to get, but this is normal printer paper. I don't have a printer at home, so all the paper I have is either watercolor paper or it's draft paper that has text on the back or something, and I'm reusing it for drafts or anything. But you know, I don't have actually clean sheets, so I had to get that, because for drawing class we need clean sheets, and she said like don't get expensive drawing paper, so paper. Ooh, maybe I'll keep this. Actually, I'll keep this for later. I'll show this bit later. Spoiler. Okay, Calico. So this is, you know, very, very thick cotton to make toiles. So I bought 4 meters. These are not the 4 meters, by the way, but I bought 4 meters of Calico. They said that about 3 meters would be enough for the first part of the year, and that they would tell us how much we need for the second part of the year. So Calico. Tracing carbon paper, which had to be specifically yellow, and that was not on the list. So some people had red carbon paper and they needed to go back. So tracing carbon paper, we had been told that the Berger one was the best option to get, and I did find it. I actually messaged, because we have a WhatsApp group for the class, I was in the store, I was like, who wants me to get this for them? And so I got a whole bunch of these, because I got some for many people in the class. And with your carbon paper you have a little roller, like a little wheel like this, a spiky one. You could also get a straight one. The teacher recommended the spiky one because this way in curves you can make it a bit more precise. So if you've never used carbon paper, it's you place your carbon paper onto your fabric, you place your pattern piece over it, and then you trace with the wheel, and the carbon paper transfers onto your pattern pieces. Actually, this leads me, sorry, I hope I'm not going to do too many tangents, but I think this is an important tangent. Rotary cutter could not exist as far as school is concerned. I have not heard them mentioned once, and we're definitely not going to be using them. So with the pattern pieces, if you are used to, you know, using a rotary cutter, we are using tracing paper and a little roller metal-y thing, and then we're cutting our piece with scissors. And yeah, it's never, like, ever no teacher has mentioned rotary cutter. So very curious if that's just not an industry thing. Like, I can't really tell you yet why or anything, but yeah, just so you know, no one talked about rotary cutter. This is the only rotary thing I will have. And by the way, this cost me €1.50. The branded ones were 5 to 8 euros, I believe. And I was like, well, you know, 150, good enough for me. Notebooks, I'll go quickly through those because I already mentioned them in my announcement video. But this is the notebook I use for basically every class. This is my notes for class and everything. I'll actually keep it because I think I have notes for what I want to tell you guys. And this one also has found use in school because for our costume history class, we need a culture notebook, basically where we watch movies and write down if the costumes are accurate or not. And so this is my culture notebook, which needed to be a bit thinner, so actually not knowing when I bought it, but it is perfect for the culture notebook job. Next up, measuring tools. So for memo, my home measuring tools are my school 30 centimeter ruler and my little 15 centimeters across angle. How do you call that? Wait, Google is saying that this is called a square. Do you guys really call this a square? Because if you can't tell, this is definitely a triangle, but whatever. That angly thing, that's my home kit, and for curves I used an IKEA plate, which is currently in the dishwasher, so I didn't bring it to show you, but this has been my home kit, along with my beautiful love ruler from the kit I have. At school, we need a French curve, you can barely see it, but well, a French curve. It's 65 centimeters long around the curve, so it's the big one, not the small one. So French curve, 30 centimeter across square, which again is a triangle, but I'll let it drop. And actually this big thing, I've really enjoyed it. I've been using it at home as well. It's quite comfortable, big and useful. So I have to say I do like that little guy. And I do also bring this one to school only for drawing class, because for drawing class, if you're drawing, you know, like not pattern pieces but small things, I find that is still useful. And so it's marketed as unbreakable. It's slightly bendy, which is why they say it's unbreakable. I prefer this than a metal one. I find that the metal ones look a bit violent to me. This is 50 centimeters. This was what the list said. The list said 50 or 60 centimeters. We arrived and they said it needs to be 60, and I decided I would go with my 50 centimeter ruler and see how it goes. And if really I'm 10 centimeters too short constantly, I mean, at some point we'll have to buy one that's 1 meter anyway. So I decided I would start with this one, and that is fine. Scissors. So the scissors I have at home, so these are my fabric scissors. So everything is from that Prim Love collection, so it always says love on them, which is quite a style, but I really like that blue. So my scissors, and I loved them dearly and I never had an issue with them. These are my school scissors. As you can see, we have leveled up. These are from Boin and they were 36 euros, so I feel like fairly affordable for tailor's shears. They're not actually called tailor's shears, those ones, they're called professional scissors. So here you are, that's the comparison. They're recommended, so depending on the list, because we had several, one said blade above 10 centimeters and pointy ends, and one said blade above 15 centimeters. This blade is 12 centimeters and a half, and to get a blade that would be above 15 centimeters, I had to pay 126 euros, because you go in a different, in a different type of shears. Those ones were 36 euros. So I thought, well, for 2 centimeters and a half, 36 euros instead of 120, I thought that made sense. So these are my tailor's shears. These are my baby home shears, but I still love them very much. I would also like to very quickly add that it is very difficult to buy tailor's shears online or even in person if you don't have a ruler with you, because on the pack they always say the total length of the scissors, and when you need to know the blade, it's kind of hard to find information. So just something to be careful of, because I almost bought some that were too short, and yeah, it was a way to have a measurement for the blade when it's very hard to find that measurement. But by going in person and measuring them in person, it was fine. I also have paper scissors, so like long ones. Those are the ones I have at home. And again, the ones I have at home are the ones I have from my school days. And actually, I have a very huge grief with those scissors. I did not realize when I was buying them, but they have a slight like grippy side. I will film a close-up and show you. They don't cut normal. And I don't know if they are scissors that are appreciated by a certain sort of crafter. If you know why they are like this, please let me know, and I might, like, if, I don't know, scrapbook people like those, I might gift them to someone who does scrapbook and buy myself new ones, because the fact that they don't cut normal is driving me slightly nuts. So those ones, paper scissors, but I might not keep them. It's been very hard though to find some that are a bit ergonomic, so that have the big side here and the small side here, and that are a little bit padded so they're comfortable. Many scissors have this type of attachment, but that's less comfortable for a long use. Also, I wanted big ones. Those ones are small ones, like school ones. This is the shape of scissors I wanted, but they cut funny, so well, have to figure that out. And finally, my scissors live in this pouch. So my scissors are way too big to fit in my sewing box that I will show you in a second. So I have bought, this was on special, as well as my sewing box, by the way. This was on special at the haberdashery, and it's a knitting needle case, but if you have it like this, it's a perfect tailor's shears case, and it means that my shears are not loose in my bag or attacking someone. And yeah, I find this very nifty. It costed basically nothing. I find it incredibly cute. If you've seen my knitting video where I've shown you the case for my knitting needles, this is all from the same special. So you can see it's a bit of a similar style, and you see that my sewing box is also in a similar style. Okay, what next? The backpack. I bought a new backpack. I first used my normal work backpack to go to school, and actually it wasn't really working. It was already really packed full, and also it's one of those Eastpak bags, you know, that have the zip going like this. And so the fact that you open it via the front kind of means that, yeah, you can't put as many things in there. And it also meant that my ruler, which is 50 centimeters long, was sticking out of the bag. And it was a bit of a mess. Like, it wasn't really working. I tried a few times. So obviously, if you're going to school, the backpack is not a must buy. I could have kept using my work backpack and then just have a ton of tote bags around me, but I'm going via public transport, so I did buy myself a Mahusive. It doesn't look that big next to me, but like on my back. Don't know if you can see. Well, it's empty obviously, but it's a massive backpack. It's really big. So this is a French brand which is called Cabaya, and what is a bit the feature is that you choose the color of your bag and then you choose a personalized little pocket on the front, and I really liked this pocket. I also realized that I clearly have a lilac thing going on at the moment. It's also the color of my headphones and of my knitting project, if you know. So this bag is absolutely massive. It fits my ruler, it fits all of my things, and a little bit of extra space, because what I was thinking is, okay, currently everything does fit in my bag, but if I have to take any project with me, which we soon will have to do, I'm full. So this is my new backpack. It's massive. It has a ton of pockets, has a very cute personalized pocket at the front, which I really love. It has a safety pocket here at the back, so to put, you know, precious things. If you want to put your phone, easily reachable for you, but it's against your back, so if someone was trying to steal it, you would feel it. There is also a computer compartment at the back, which I am going to use for, yeah, my papers and my folder here. So there's a computer compartment here, and there's a few small pockets here at the front. And see, the fact that it opens towards the top means that you have a lot more space than the Eastpak that opened towards the front. And when I put the ruler in here, the ruler really goes all the way down and sticks up like only this much out of the bag, when in the Eastpak, because the zipper goes so low, the ruler was mainly out of the bag, which wasn't super comfortable to be in public transport with. So Mahusive backpack. Editing Noémie, I was actually at school this morning, and also it's cardigan and jumper season again. And you leave in the morning, it's quite cold, but then during the day you get hot, and I really needed the extra space to put my cardigans. I'm very happy I had the backpack. It was actually a true success going to school. Like, I'm really happy for the extra space. And yeah, it meant that when I was very hot, I could put my cardigan in it and not have to carry it. And I don't know, so I have tested and approved the bag. Okay, what's in here? This is my pencil case from when I was in high school. So I think I even have this one from primary school. So I didn't buy the pencil case for this. Let me just empty it and look with you. A lot of things I didn't buy, so I will start with everything I didn't buy and that I still had from like literally uni, or my wife had and I could steal from her. So highlighters I had from uni, stick of glue that we need I have from uni, sticky tape I have from Life, but actually we can't use normal sticky tape. If we want to use sticky tape, we need to use matte one that you can write over. So I have it, but I probably can't use it at school. But however, I have the stick of glue, so I don't need to buy the sticky tape you can write on top of, because I have the glue. So you have to choose between glue and fancy sticky tape. A rubber. I have my little roller rotary thing that you've seen. 4 colored pens. I have the normal one and the exciting colored one. I have random, you know, those like pens you get for free, like those pens you get for free at events. They're all write in black or blue. White out if you make mistakes. Pencil from the University of Exeter. Pencil sharpener. Red pen, that we needed, the red pen, and just because they came with my red pen, I also have purple and orange and put them in here. And I needed a green pencil, and I didn't buy a green pencil. My wife had a box of drawing pencils and I was allowed to steal her green, so her box is now greenless. But so a green pencil. And then we needed 2 fine liners in black to do our technical drawings. The technical drawings are literally the drawings you see when you are following a pattern's instruction and you have those drawings that tell you what to do. And we are going to learn a very specific way of doing it with conventions, and so we needed a 03 liner and a 07 liner. And I haven't had that class yet, so I can't tell you, but the different width means different things. That's my pencil case. No, that's pins. Sewing box. And I will start by the bottom and then show you what's on top. Milo, that's lots of pins. I would rather you don't put your nose in there. No. Get away. Sewing needles, because at school we been given access to the machines. They are the Noémie Skyline S3, but we have to bring our own needles. The needles that we had to buy were Schmidt, but honestly I was not going to go in another haberdashery because mine has Prim, which is the brand of many of the things I have around here, because it's a very readily available brand to have in Belgium. To buy everything you're seeing, I literally went from west to east of Brussels. Like, I have been all around the city, and I'm still missing one thing, by the way, that I need to not forget to tell you, but yeah, it was a lot to manage to get everything for this school haul, but we made it. White thread and black thread, those two are, I mean, as you can see, they're just my, like, those ones I had big spools of, and they're just my home spools that are now in my school case. They're Gutermann, and we are encouraged to get Gutermann thread for school. Basting thread. Basting thread is a thread that is easier to break and to remove after you've basted, and apparently we're gonna do a lot of basting, so basting thread in white. I have, Milo's toy, great. A measuring tape. So at school you are not allowed to have any of those measuring tapes that you press on and it rolls back in. So you need a measuring tape like this. The only thing is that mine is in inches on one side and centimeter and inches on the other. I thought it was one side centimeter, one side inches, but actually it's inches on both sides and also centimeter on the other side, which isn't great. Also at school they really recommend you have a tape that is one color on one side and one color on the other side to make sure you don't twist it in the back of your person, for example, and that it's an accurate measurement without you realizing. And also you have to cross measure everything. So when I got my ruler and my square, I had to measure the square against the ruler. I measured this against everything. Obviously the square and the ruler, they're not going to grow, so you don't need to worry, but your tape you need to remeasure frequently. And actually I am already 1 millimeter off for 50 centimeters at the moment. I am going to just go ahead and keep this, but we're going to very precision work at school, and so yeah, if you have more than a couple of millimeters off, you need to get a new tape. Also, my tape had that metallic-y bit on the other side as well, so on the side that starts at 1, and I had to remove it because that metallic-y bit was adding 3 millimeters to my measurements, and I couldn't have this because we are being graded to the millimeters. So if my tape is 3 millimeters off, it would literally make me fail my year. That's my tape, but honestly I probably will have to get one that's only centimeter and that is different colored on both sides, but I'll start with this and I'll see how this goes. My home ruler is definitely off at the start because it has a metallic-y start. It's very old, I never cross-measured it, but it's literally, I've had it since I'm a child. I got it in a raffle, so it's a bit random, and it was one of those meters that you press and it rolls back into itself, and I have just cut it out of its case. So that's my home one, but I don't dare to cross measure it. I don't know if it's still good or not, but look, I've had it for years and years and years and it's still fine. Then I have sewing needles and finer sewing needles because I went to school with my sewing needles and I've been told they are too thick, so I bought finer ones. Pins, and then finer pins because I went to school with my pins and then I got told they were too thick, so I bought finer ones. Isn't that fun? And not on the official shopping list, but if you've watched the Great British Sewing Bee, you might want one of those. It's a magnetic pin holder. To be honest, this is the one I have at home and I love it dearly. I think it's the best pin cushion you could have. I love a magnetic pin cushion. So for school, I didn't want one like this. I thought that this would make more sense. So that's my school pin cushion. And if they're not on the pin cushion, my pins will just remain in their box, and at home they live on this pin cushion here. I didn't explicitly say it, but you might be able to notice that my home pins have glass heads, and we're not allowed glass heads at school. They need to be the really fine ones that you can just saw through. So that's why I had to rebuy some. Anyway, in the end, I have 2 kids, so it's easier to have pins in my school kits as well. But the ones I had at home were not good to be used at school. Top layer, we have a thimble for the girl who said that she would never hand sew anything. Oh my god, if I could sew all of them with my machine. I hate hand sewing. I know it's terrible to say this because hand sewing can create really neat finishes, but just I really like using my machine. If I can use my machine for something and get away with it, not doing it by hand, it's always what I'm gonna choose. This guy has already become my best friend and we've already spent more hours together than I ever thought I would spend with a thimble. Let's say it like this. I can't even show you in my home kit because I don't have anything of the sort. I have chalk. We needed, I'll just show you like this. We needed yellow, blue and red. I also have the white ones that I had from my home kit and I added them in here. And that little pouch I made myself when I was starting to sew and learning to sew. The red one, they didn't have in the same brand as the other one. It's a cheaper one and it's already kind of like crumbling over everything, which is why I separated it between the 2 whites so that the whites are kind of like buffering my yellow and my blue so that the yellow and blue stay nice. But so chalk. So I had been quite stressed about the yellow chalk because we needed yellow chalk from the first class and I was really struggling to find any. Every time I went to the haberdashery, I couldn't find the red. As you can see, I ended up buying the red separately in a different brand, but I could just find that blue one. They had white and they had blue until the day I discovered that the yellow was hiding just behind the blue. So I found that yellow and it's so silly because I've been looking for it, like literally by that point, I've been looking for it for almost 2 months and it had been there all along. My marking tools at home are whatever pen I have on hand first, an erasable marker and a white pencil. Seam ripper from the box, you can see everything that comes from the box is blue and the one from school is exactly the same. Clips, I just bought clips. They're not really great, those ones. I hope they'll be fine enough, but actually teachers were not super fans of clips. To be honest, my teachers are all a bit older and so maybe they're not into clips because of generation thing, but these are the clips I have in my home kit and I like them a lot better. So if the ones I have in my school kits all break, I might buy the same brand as my home kit because I really like those. Then we had to buy, no, it's not finished. We had to buy safety pins that are 2.5 centimeters up to 4.5 centimeters. So I have a little selection of safety pins of different sizes. And finally, no, not finally, small scissors. I bought the ones that are like a stalk. I think it looks very nice. The ones I have at home are from Prim again. They're a little bit more ergonomic, but look, I was just going a bit crazy. I thought if they get really annoying, I'll just buy another pair of those ones for school because those ones I know they're great and I would use those ones for my knitting kit. So I thought I'll give them a try. I'll see if it works. Had to buy bobbins because again at school they give you access to the machine, but not the needle, not the thread and not the bobbin. And the bobbins that you have in the Noémie are special bobbins. So I had to go to the sewing machine store and ask for bobbins special for Noémie. They were 60 cents each, so they didn't break the bank. And I got 4 because this way I have 1 for white, 1 for black, 2 spares. I thought that's a good amount of bobbins for school. And that is it. We made it. Okay, now I have a lot of chatting to do with you. Okay, moved to the couch to be a little bit more comfortable. Everything I wanted to chat about. I didn't say the budget of everything I have bought and showed you for school. Obviously the bag, you don't need to buy yourself a backpack, but the backpack was about 100 euros, and I would say all of the materials, it's hard to tell because I bought it in so many different bits and pieces, but I would say I'm a bit above 200 euros of material. A lot of it is like cheap things and 5 euros here and there, but if you put everything together, it's quite a lot. So I would say about 200 euros worth of material, knowing that there's still materials to be bought later on. I will let you know if there's anything particularly interesting, but kind of like my starting kit is 200 euros. I wanted to address 2 of the fears I had before starting school. So for reference, I've started school, I think I've done 2 full weeks of school. One of my fears was to be alone amongst 18-year-olds, and actually this can't be further from the truth. I would say a third of us are in our 30s or early 30s. Clearly there is an age where people like me decide to retrain and go into something else. So we are quite a lot of us in our 30s. We also have a woman who's in her 40s, and we have a woman who's in her 50s. The woman in her 50s, she was absolutely hilarious because she was like, yeah, I always said that when I was a grown-up I would become a costume maker, so I'm grown up enough now. And yeah, I mean, it really makes you feel really confident when you think like, wow, she's 50 and she's going back to school. What am I complaining about, or what am I worried about? You can see she has her own fear as well of like retraining at 50, and I don't know, I found it super encouraging and super inspiring. However, one really weird thing, if you are going to sewing school, even though it's costume making, wouldn't you expect people to have me-mates? Like, I'm the only one, I think, wearing, oh, they're so well made that they look like ready to wear, but like everyone looks like they're wearing ready to wear. And I believe, like, I wonder if that's not different with the fashion designers, because maybe they are more into like their own sense of style and having, their own me-made clothes. But yeah, they don't wear me-mades. And I think for them, if you make something as it's more a costume, they're like, yeah, I'm not going to come to class in my like things. Like, I don't know, when I was kind of like telling them like, oh, I'm surprised no one wears me-mades, they're really like, oh my god, like you pictured that we were all like wearing weird things. And I mean, I didn't say, oh my god, I'm me-made head to toe. But yeah, it's just like, I realized it's a totally different world. A fun remark I had to make, I'm the only one wearing me-mades in there, and that is super weird, I find. One worry I still have is the fact that I am working at the same time as those studies. I mean, the teachers keep going on about how hard it is and how challenging and how it's going to be very hard if I work, and I am the only person in our class who works. Everyone else is doing this full time, and okay, I don't even want to get into this, but basically about the work experience, I had been told I had to do less work experience than the others because I was working, but actually this was not really accurate, and so I do need to do as much work experience as the others. So it looks like it's going to be a lot, but also the teachers were really encouraging, where at the enrollment they were like, oh no, like if you can't do everything, you just can't do it. And the teachers were like, no, if you need to maybe do like your second year in 2 years or whatever, like you can organize. In Belgium, studies are not so expensive, so even if I had to pay full fees for 2 years, it's not really a problem. Like, that's not really something that would stop me. So that kind of reassured me. I have a plan that I will probably talk about in another video because this is going to be long enough, but I really hope that it's going to work in 3 years, that it's going to work full stop, because yeah, they keep going about how challenging it's going to be. But I'm also like, when I see the homework we have, I'm like, that's definitely possible, that's fine. So that's one thing. I don't know if you follow, what's her name, Charlie Nabe. She's the person behind the Stitchery, and I actually love her second channel where she just like chats about things. And she had a video about monetizing your hobby, and how when you have a hobby and you do it kind of well, everyone's always like, oh, you should sell this, you should monetize this, blah blah. and how it ruined some of her hobbies for her. And I mean, her story really resonated with me because she baked for other people and it was a bit traumatic for her, and I also baked for other people and it also kind of like made me not enjoy baking as much anymore. And that stays something I am worried with school about, yeah, having to sew for other people and having different expectations put on my sewing and everything. Also, they keep going on about how it's like to the millimeter. When you measure, you are graded to the millimeter. When you sew, you are graded to the millimeter. I don't know if this is true, if it's possible for them to check to the millimeter, but it's worrying. It's like, it's definitely not how I've been sewing so far. So I'm a bit like, oh my god, that's overwhelming. But I just wanted to say, I'll put the video from Charlie in the description if you're interested, because it just really resonated with me, the fact that, you know, maybe you don't always want to monetize everything. So what did I want to tell you about? Yes, I wanted to tell you about the fact that the way we're going to learn sewing, so because we have introduction to sewing, so we draping, we're making a pleated skirt, we're making a medieval dress, I believe this year, and then we're making something else, and my brain shut off and I didn't write it down. I couldn't tell my wife when I came back that evening. I was so overwhelmed. I was like, and then we're making something. After the medieval dress, my brain was gone. Yeah, the one thing I don't have is a waist ribbon. So when we are measuring people, and I will actually make a video about measuring someone correctly from how we learned it at school, but when you measure people, you start by putting a ribbon around the waist to mark the waist so that every measurement is starting exactly at the same point and you're sure of it. I don't have that ribbon yet. It has to be in quite specific fabric because it needs to not stretch. So I don't have that. And I don't actually know what's the proper term in English. I don't know if the teacher is saying a real word in French or if it's just how she says it. The issue is that in French, the word for waist and the word for measurement is the same. And so when she said it's a ribbon for your taille, is it tie like waist or is it tie like your size? So not very clear. If you are a tailor and you use that type of ribbon around someone's waist, does it have a special name? If so, please let me know because I'm very curious. But so I still need to buy that ribbon. I also need a calculator. Oh my god, I need a calculator. I have discovered that my school calculator was living at my sister's, so I'm going to borrow that from her, and that's because for exams we can't use our phones for our calculation. When we go to cutting class, because we're doing a lot of measurements in there and we are measuring each other, we actually need to be wearing like leggings and t-shirts and something easy to measure over. So, you know, class is really taking over your life and you are not going dressed as you want. I went in jeans last time and it was like way too much fabric, way too thick, like the measurements are going to be wrong. I had a mini breakdown after the first class. I was like, this is so much. And I was also wondering how I could translate everything I'm learning into videos, and I was really thinking how I want to take you guys with me, and you guys have said that you are interested into learning a little bit of what I'm learning. But I was like, yeah, but like to measure someone, we literally measured 17 different places. You guys don't need to measure someone in 17 different places, but my wife had good ideas on how I could do that. So there's potentially a video coming about measuring someone in the future. I also had my first class of History of Costume, which is a very bad name for that class because History of Costume, I thought we were going to learn like, oh, in Shakespeare's time, this is how they were making costume and now we're making them that way. But actually, it's really history of clothing in order to make historical costumes. This year we are learning basically prehistory up to the Middle Ages, which is fine, but like I'm really looking forward to being in second and third year. So in second year it's going to be the 16th to the 18th century and then 19th and 20th century in the third year. So definitely motivation to stay enrolled because I think in History of Costume this is the least exciting part of them all. But yeah, it was very interesting. We talked about why do we dress and kind of like thinking about everything around that, and yeah, we saw prehistory and prehistorical clothes and how to make those accurate. Crazy. And yeah, I will show you this, which are all the hand stitching I've been doing. So one day we did 8 hours of hand stitching, and yeah, I showed my wife. She found it really fun to see everything we did. So here, this is stitch. Sorry, I'm not going to present them all to you, but this is the stitch if you are in the middle of the countryside and there's no electricity and you need to sew something. This is the stitch to replace sewing machine. We have invisible stitches, so this is the front, this is the back. So your girl who used to never do any sorts of hand stitching has well changed. So that's one side, and that's how invisible this is on the other side. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. So really learning a lot of technical sewing, a lot of very precise sewing, because all of the hand sewing is once more to the millimeter, otherwise that would not be fun. We're going to have to do a ton of hand sewing at home as well, so a lot of fun to be had there. I'm just going to look in my notes because I had a couple of questions from you guys. So someone asked, I'll read you your question. I cannot imagine what a costume design course might cover. Fitting, making pieces adjustable for multiple wearers, quick or shortcut sewing tricks, fancy from a distance, i.e. stage. Basically, the answer to all of this is that's going to depend on our client. And as someone who has done uni, and I don't know if it's like this for you as well, but uni in Belgium is quite high level and not very practical. And here from class number 1, it was always about what is our client asking, what's the budget of your client, etc, etc. So if I take the question kind of line by line, fitting, yes, we are making a ton of fitting. So what we are learning at school is to measure someone and to make something that fits them perfectly, and you forget about just your bust, waist and hip. Like we are taking, as I said, 17 different measurements to make something that's going to fit extremely well. My wife is already very excited for all the well-fitting garments she's going to have from me. Making pieces adjustable for multiple wearer, so no, because we are learning to make something specifically for someone. However, if our client asks for something to be wearable for multiple wearer, that's what we will have to do. But what we are being trained for at the moment is fitting perfectly to one person. And fancy for a distance like the stage, actually this is very interesting because we are often learning 2 different ways, and the teacher's like, okay, if you are on a movie set, you are going to do this stitch because, you know, for example, maybe they're going to do a close-up on the cuff of the person and it needs to be immaculate, because this is not only a close-up, but like in real life, you know, people can come very close to you, but it's still only the size of real life. But if you imagine the size of a cuff on a cinema screen, it's massive. It's much, much, much bigger than a real cuff. And so it needs to be absolutely impeccable. Our teachers are often telling us, like, if this is for the stage, you are making this one because it's good and quick. And if you are making for the cinema, you are doing the precise, detailed work. And there's also a little bit of a talk of like, if your client is a particularly famous star, they might also be more picky and you might need to do this and that. So I find it very interesting how based in reality the study is, because it's not just like this is how you sew. It's realistically you want to make your costumes as quickly as possible, but depending on where they are going to be, hello Milo, depending on where they are going to be, you might actually need to do more or less fine work. So I hope this answers your question. And there's another question which was actually so spot on, it kind of gave me a full like, do I have a good explanation for this? Happily I do, so we're all good. I was wondering, what is the difference between the costume and the fashion design course? And why did you prefer costume if you're not planning to be a costume sewist? And I thought that was a very, very good point, because I've said I'm not planning to be a costume sewist, so why would I do the costume instead of fashion? For this, I have the first thoughts I have, and then I will explain that I'm so glad this is a decision I've made. So first, I'm not really interested in fashion. I'm not a fashionable person. I was never in the cool kids at school. In those shows like Next in Fashion, I find it totally ridiculous what they're making. Like, it's really not something that appeals to me. The world of fashion in general, not interested. So we're gonna start there. And we're also going to start with the fact that I came to all this with a career coach who was like, you do musical theater, you like sewing, become a costume maker. And even though obviously there was a reflection after that, it's how it started. Costume making was kind of the first door into thinking about going back to sewing school. Then, okay, everything that's in my notebook is stuff that I kind of like have in my mind, and then I will tell you the reality of school. I kind of imagine that theater people and fashion people are very different types of people, and as I have been a dancer and a musical theater person, I kind of feel more comfortable in that crowd. And I don't know, I hope that makes sense, but if I say like the fashion crowd, I don't think I'm in that crowd. Very silly, but the timetable was a lot less practical with work than the timetable of the costume making course. There are classes that we have and that the fashion people don't have. So for example, we have a class about fabric transformation, so how to age fabric so it ages in a specific way, and how to dye fabric with natural dyes. And also the costume history class, we have it over our 3 years, so we see everything in great details, when the fashion people have everything we cover but like in 1 year. So that means that they're kind of like overseeing everything quickly, and then that's it, when we are really going deeply into it, and I'm very interested by that. So I'm very happy with that decision. And there were a few classes in the fashion design course that were less interested to me, like psychology and philosophy of fashion. I was like, why not? You know, if I have to, it's fine, but it's not like something that interests me as much as history of costume, for example. Now, as I have started, so many people were more informed than I was, because they have gone to the open days. I missed the open days because I have been made aware of the existence of this course 2 days after the open days. So I did not get to go, and I'm not going to go back about how the administration goes, but information was hard to get and not always very clear or correct. So people who went to the open days actually knew what they were getting into, and there were actually some people who were planning to do fashion design who came into costume making for the following reason. And when I was in my first day at costume making, I was so happy that I ended up there, because fashion design would not have been what I wanted to do. You might notice that I've also changed the way of saying it. Obviously, it's because the courses are originally in French and just the way of saying it is very different. But I'm saying fashion design and I'm saying costume making. I know I said costume design at first, but it's definitely going to be costume making. And the fashion design people are not doing as much sewing, they're not doing as much history, and they're more doing a lot of concepts. And they need a dress form because they are learning to sew for ready to wear. They are learning to sew just enough to understand what works and what doesn't work, but they're not going to make their own collection. When you make ready to wear, you don't sew 120 t-shirts, you know? So actually, it's a lot more theory and a lot more in the thinking and in the design, again, of fashion, which is really something that's not really of interest to me. However, the costume makers, we are making. That also means that we have fairly little design in our actual course. The way they see it is that there's a designer on set. The designer or the producer or the director is going to give you drawings and a brief of what they want. They're going to give you the brief that's more or less complete. You're going to have to see, and they're going to say, this is what I want on stage, and you have to implement. But you rarely, within the studies at least, and the way they prepare us, you rarely have to conceptualize the costumes. Basically, a lot more of the classes for us are really hands-on compared to the fashion design people who are more in the thinking. So some people knew this going into this, I didn't, but I mean, sometimes I really believe I'm really lucky and that destiny, I mean, you believe in that or not, but sometimes I really feel like destiny has a way to like push me in the right direction and help me out, because yeah, I don't think I would have been very happy in the fashion design class. And in the end, I realized they did not open a second class for costume makers. They just decided to push me and the person in front of me on the waiting list. We got pushed into the class. So normally it was not meant to happen. They said either we open a second class and you can get into that second class, or you'll go into fashion design. And a third option happened. They were like, actually, that girl who keeps calling us, we'll just make her go in the class. So it just, I'm getting emotional. So I'm just really, really grateful. I don't know who was looking over me and was like, let's just get that girl onto the list. But yeah, I'm in the class. It's a lot. It's very overwhelming. It's also a day of 8 hours of hand sewing is very tiring, and actually one of the reasons I had said that I do not want to be a costume maker is that it would be too physical for me. I have a body that has been constructed not optimally, so I don't think I could work sewing all day, and that it would really not work for my body and be too painful. Yeah, and what am I doing? Sewing for 8 hours straight, and it really hurts my back. Also in class we're on very high stools, so we're not really sitting on chairs, and it can get very sore. But so it's a really high table, really like workshop table with high stools, and everyone's on that, and then I'm on a chair. So basically the table arrives here and I'm like working like this on the table, because at some point the stool hurts too much and I have to be on the chair. So I look very stupid, very low on the I mean, I look extremely short compared to everyone, but it's fine. I accept it. I think I'll wrap it up slowly here. I will vlog a week in my life, I think in a couple of weeks. So you will see what it's like to work, to do musical rehearsals, and to go to school as a 30-year-old, and kind of like show you the whole package and how that looks like in a week. So you'll see a little bit more of school during that video as well. I hope that was it interesting? I hope that the haul was interesting. I hope that the answers to the question were kind of like making things a little bit clearer. I'm so glad I ended up in the right class, even though I had no clue what I was getting into. My work experience is also slowly coming together, and if what I'm pitching at the moment works, it's going to be the most exciting work experience ever. So crossing my fingers, and I'll tell you more as soon as I know. And also a couple of you have asked if I had a Ko-fi account. It took me a very long time to organize my status and my taxes. Long story, but I now have a Ko-fi account. So if you wanted to tip me a coffee, you absolutely don't have to. I appreciate you all the same. But if you want to tip me a coffee, there's my Ko-fi account in the description. Wow, there's just so much in this video. I'm sorry, I hope it's not extremely long, but I also realized I have filmed a bit just before going to my first day because I was so stressed about going to school. So I'll just put that little clip here of me getting ready to go to my first day of school. Guys, I'm not going to lie, the nerves have truly kicked in. I'm going for my first day of class this afternoon, and I was doing fine this morning, and then I started feeling truly panicked about it. And I think it's because I was like, oh, but like my stuff is not packed. So decided to pack my stuff, which literally is a joke. It's going to take 6 seconds. I'm going to do it with you, and then it's done. But I hope that knowing that my bag is packed is going to be a bit de-stressing. But yeah, oh my god, like I was feeling totally fine beforehand, but now I'm a bit like, it's happening, and yeah, I'm a bit nervous. This is my bag. It's a Eastpak bag, which I have literally since I've started working. So at the bottom of the bag goes my sewing box. So I have chosen a box that would fit really nicely in the bottom of my bag. I think that's a smart move. My notebooks, the ones I showed you already in the very first announcement for school. At the moment, like I'm still not sure if this one's going to be a school one, but I'm taking them both for the first day, and I'll play it by ear to see which one I use for school in the end. Glasses, because if the teacher is too far away, I won't be able to see them. And my book for the trip, because I have about 1 hour of public transport to go there. And this is Jacqueline Hartmann, and this is not only a Belgian author, but she's a Brussels author, and not only a Brussels author, but she literally is from my suburb. I don't know if she was born in my suburb or lived in my suburb or died in my suburb or all of them. All I can say is that in my suburb, they're like, yay, like claiming her as one of ours. But I have no clue, you know, what which part of her life was actually spent in our suburb. Now I'm actually wondering, like, I think I'll be able to read on the way there. On the way back, if I'm way too excited, I'll just like message my wife and tell her everything that happened, but could also try to read because literally I'm going to see my wife as soon as I'm back home. So okay, and that's my bag literally, and then I just add a tote bag on top with like my phone and everything. I never put it in this front pocket because in Brussels that's asking for your phone to get stolen. But yeah, literally adding a tote bag on top. And yeah, that's also to protect the book. That's my library book, and I don't want it to be totally drowned because it's very bad weather today, and generally I just prefer it having it protected in the bag. So that's it, guys. We are ready for school. Oh my goodness. Okay, and to finish, I kind of wanted to show you a couple of presents I got from friends to start school. So if you are German, you are going to know this tradition. It's something we do not have in Belgium, but I have my German friend. You know, I've gone to her wedding this summer and she gave me a Schultüte, which is basically, I mean, I'll show you the photo, but it's basically a cone that is full of sweets and a couple of fun stationery that you have for your first day of school. And it was so sweet. She made me one herself. So this is me and my Schultüte, and yeah, it was really, really lovely. And I'll also quickly show you another present I got. Unrelated to anything, but a friend gave me this. Isn't it brilliant? It's a lady on a sewing machine with a bun, and she's a crafty person. Really, really like it. Such a cool present. Best pair of socks. I'm gonna wear them to class. I don't know if it's something you're hearing and that's bothersome when I film into the office, but if you can hear a buzz and that actually bothers you when you watch the videos, please let me know. This way I just know that it's annoying and I try to avoid filming there. I can really hear it a lot, but I think it's because I know it's there. So if you've never been bothered by the sound in the videos, then it's all good. But if you are bothered, I'm interested to know, because this will take it into account as well. In any case, if you like this video and you like to see everything I've bought for school, like this video, subscribe if you want to see how it's all going on with school and to kind of like follow that journey. And don't forget that you can make anything. Bye!